Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Keeping Up with Keith interview series. I have a great guest for us today. He is a great friend, a former colleague of mine, and he just brings so much joy. He's doing great work in LA. So today we are catching up with Paco Ramos Moreno.
Hi, Keith. How are you?
I'm well. How are you, Paco?
Doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, I'm so excited. Because you have been a fantastic, journalist, working in the digital world. I've been covering everything from the breaking news to entertainment. And so, first of all, how did you get into journalism? How did it all start?
Oof, it started, let me take you back like 12, 13 years now. I was had recently graduated from graduate school. I did my master's in communication, and my plan was to go to Loma Linda University to get a PhD. It was in the middle of summer, and I needed a summer job. And I was like, I like news. Let's try that. And because of my communications, mass media studies, I was able to get a job at KUSI News in San Diego. That was my
Yeah.
first station. And the plan was only to be there for a few months, but then I realized this is what I want to do with my career. There's no point in going back and getting my PhD. And the rest is history. I've been doing digital producing ever since.
Wow. And what did you want to get your PhD in initially? What were you thinking?
It was going to be in public policy and social work. So shout out to all those social worker out there doing the Lord's work.
Yes, no, yes, they are. My family, I have a ton of them in my family. So I do understand LA County. So, okay, so you were at KUSI, and I know you were at CBS 8 San Diego. You did that, and then you went to Spectrum. So, how did that, tell me about that journey going from KUSI to CBS 8 and now to your current position?
Sure, sure. Well, let me give you some background info because I think it's important to say that when I first got hired at KUSI, I vividly remember the assistant news director telling me, "You weren't my first choice to hire because of your lack of experience, but we're going to go ahead and hire you anyways." To me, that translates into no one else wanted the job, so we're just going to give it to you. And I stayed there for 9 months. And then that's when I got hired at the CBS 8 station in San Diego. And the day I went to put in my 2 weeks' notice at KUSI, that same assistant news director basically cried because I was leaving. And she said, "I'm so glad that I took a chance on you because you have proven us wrong all the time." And I was like, thanks, I guess. And thank you for the opportunity. And then I went to CBS 8. I was there for 5 years. And then after 5 years, I decided it was time to move on up. And because we're so close to LA, the transition and the move would have been easier than, moving across the country to New York, for example. And I've been at Spectrum News for coming up on 6 years now.
Wow, that is amazing. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, no, wow, 6 year, wow. That again, 'cause especially in our industry,
I
people are
know.
leaving or getting laid off, unfortunately, and just have, 5 years plus is an accomplishment
At any
now
market,
in
at any
this
stage.
industry.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I started at Spectrum in the middle of the pandemic, so I was remote. I didn't even start going into the building until probably, like, 2 years after being with the company.
Mhm. Gotcha. And for our audience, can you just tell us, what does a digital producer do?
Okay. So what I do, because I feel digital producer has different meanings depending what industry, what station you're at.
Mhm.
So my job is essentially to keep app, the news app for Spectrum News and SoCal updated with all the stories that are coming in. I will send out push notifications for like breaking news, pushing out stories from our reporters. We copy edit all the reporter stories that come in. So we take it and make sure it's an AP style. We do a lot of social media. Spectrum right now is doing a huge push on all social media platforms.
Yes.
And so we've been doing Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, just trying to get as much content out there. And I think that's part of, creating brand awareness and letting people know, hey, we're also a news source for you guys here in Southern California and soon across the state.
Yes, yes, I did see that Spectrum is expanding into the Bay Area as well. So that's going to be I'm excited to see how that's all going to pan out and see.
Yeah, times. And it's not just the Bay Area, it's Sacramento, Fresno, I
Yes.
believe, and the entire state as a whole.
Yeah, no, that's great. And so of social content, because I think right now we're in this age that social content is becoming more of a priority than what's on linear. And so can you tell me about, how do you come up with the ideas, the concepts for the news content and make it social? Like how do you usually put it together?
So we'll take, one of the things that we sometimes focus because Spectrum News is heavily, hyper local. We have all these original programming like inside the issues, which usually gets very good guests on to talk about politics, what's going on, across the state in our region. So we'll take sound bites from the interviews that we're doing. We'll cut them down. We'll format them for like the vertical, format for
Mhm.
people's devices because that's where people are watching. And then you really have to use your news judgment in terms of what you think is going to grab people's attention. You have to find the topic, that people are talking about, that people care about, that matters to your audience as well.
Got it. And so I guess on a typical day, how many, I guess, social first stories are you producing on a typical day?
We have we try to get at least, like, 3 or 4 Instagram reels out a day, I think. But we do have someone that's specifically focused on that. So what the digital team does is we'll go through reporter stories, if there's any press conferences going on, if there's anything interesting that happened in the original programming, like In Focus, Inside the Issues, LA Stories Today. Well, we don't have LA or yes, LA Stories.
Mhm.
We'll grab something from those and post those on social media.
Okay, gotcha. And so also, because with you doing your job, I know you were doing some entertainment stuff on the side. You're doing some press junkets. I think initially you're just doing it on your own time, but now it seems like it's becoming part of Spectrum now, part of your job, sort of. Or maybe you can explain it to me.
So, I wouldn't say it's still essentially I mean, when you go to these events and you're doing interviews, it's for the most part, I've been doing it on my own time. I
Gotcha.
do the interviews, but I do try my best to align them with my shift within my regular shift because I still have to do my regular work. So
Mhm.
the whole press junket interviews that I kind of do kind of on the side. It's still part of Spectrum, but it's something that I really, really like doing. So to me, it does not feel like I'm working because I enjoy every minute of it.
Yes, no, absolutely. And also there's many like again, producers, journalists who want to do, something that they're very passionate about, but sometimes, they just feel like that they can't find the time or, we have to feed the beast at the moment. So how do you make that time to, do that extra work?
So you have to be able to balance your time because, for example, for when you're doing a press junket for, TV show, a movie, you have to have seen that movie or that TV show. They do require in your approval, everybody who's participating needs to have seen the show, needs to have seen the
Mhm.
movie. It was a bit easier during COVID times because everything was remote, so they would just send out a screening link, and so you could watch the movies from home. But now, you have to go to a movie theater, you have to go to a screening room to watch it. So I had to balance that in terms of what time and what day I can make those. So there's been times where I've had to turn down junket because I can't make it to a screening because it's, like, in the middle of the day, and I was like, "Well, I'm at the station, so I can't go and take time off to go watch a movie. That wouldn't be fair to the rest of the people." They're like, "Mm." So it's a lot of that. It's easier to do junkets for TV shows because those they do send out the screening links, so I can when I'm off work, I would normally be watching a show anyways, so why not watch a show that I'm gonna be doing an interview for.
I talk to many young journalists. They wanna do entertainment, they wanna cover it or, create the content about it. How can they get access to those junkets? Is there somewhere people can apply, or do you just have to know, like, the publicist?
It's so a lot of the studios will hire PR agencies that set up the entire thing. I was very fortunate that we work with Renee, which Renee from Inside the Issue,
Yes.
and she at one point was setting these up for a previous reporter. So when I sort of took over doing them, she would forward me the emails that she would get, and then I would sign up. And through that, just building the connections and networking, I started getting, emails from this junket or that junket. And that's how that started. Everything, I think, unless you're like a big, huge network like ABC7 in or in
Mhm.
Los Angeles, or network like Good Morning America, a lot of them do require you to RSVP. So you submit your request, and then the team behind whoever's that you're interviewing still has to approve you and be like, okay, this outlet is a yes or this outlet is a no. And sometimes, they say, due to timing, we just can't fit you in this time around. So there's a lot of, you know, different things going on that sometimes you
Mhm.
really want to do an interview with someone for a movie or TV show, and they're like, no, you weren't approved, or we just don't have time to get you guys in this time.
Gotcha. And so what has been one of the most rewarding experiences during your career so far?
Oof. In terms of what? Like,
Well, it could be something you did journalistic oh gosh, it could be something newsy or entertainment-wise of what you covered. What has been something that you are, like, really proud of?
I would say still having a job in this industry has been a blessing, and I feel very fortunate, and so I'm really proud of that.
Mhm.
But I think the journey from starting out in San Diego all the way until now, I feel very proud of myself for that. Starting out at KUSI News and just slowly working my way up, and now covering junkets, entertainment, red carpets. I mean, this year has been the first time that I've actually covered a red carpet and covered, for example, the Golden Globes. That has been a career highlight for me. I've also, interviewed congressional representatives. I helped
Yes.
with an interview with then Vice President Joe Biden when I was at KFMB. When I got to Spectrum, we did a 2-week special on the border. So we drove all the way from Texas all the way to San Diego covering topics along the border. And that is probably up there in terms of career highlights and stuff that I've done throughout my career.
Yes, no, that is amazing. So, because I do wanna talk about the border and immigration, but first I wanna talk about that Golden Globe experience. You said that was one of your first red carpet events to do. So what was that experience like for you?
For me, it was great, and to clarify, Spectrum News was not approved for the red carpet, so we weren't allowed to be in the red carpet because where they had the event, they had a lot of construction going on, so they had to cut down
Mhm.
on the red carpet this year, so it was very limited space. What we were approved
Gotcha.
for was the interview winners room. So every awards show has a room like this where after
Yes.
someone wins an award, they go backstage and journalists get to ask questions. So I was able to do that for the Golden Globes. That's where I was. I not sure if I should or
Mhm.
shouldn't say it, but I did sneak into the red carpet to take the picture. I was like, I didn't come all this way to take a picture on the red carpet.
Yes, no, you need to capture that memory, submit
Yeah.
that moment. Yes. Okay, so pivoting from, gosh, entertainment, let's talk about the news stuff because LA, I mean, in the past 2 years, LA has gone through a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
from the historic firestorm last year in the Palisades and the Eaton fire, issues at, the border, the ice raids. So, and you went to the border, just to get more information about that. So, what is that experience like? Covering those big stories that truly do have an impact.
I mean, last year felt like the year that would never end. I mean, we started
Mhm.
January with the wildfires. That was the longest month, and it was being from San Diego, we've covered so many
Yes.
wildfires, but I don't think I have ever experienced something like last year's fires ever in terms of covering, in terms of just seeing people that you work with being affected and personally losing, homes and stuff. So it was a lot. And going from that to the Pope died between the wildfires and then the ice raids in Los Angeles, it was one thing after another, and it was a lot. When I look back at last year, I'm just like, I don't know how we made it out alive from 2025.
Yes, yes, yes. And 2026, it says, hold my beer soon.
It sure is. Right away, like, I woke up on New Year's Day and I was like, "No, we're not doing this today."
Yes, yes. And I know, especially now you work in this digital world, the push alerts, is it about being first? Is it truly about being first over your competition? Or is it about getting that push alert right? Because, well, I work as people, for some context, I worked at Spectrum with Paco. So I know, and especially since I was on the weather side of things, push alerts have to go through approval and stuff.
Mhm.
But now I'm not sure if that has changed. It's still the same thing, still the approval and then send it out.
Yeah, so we still have that process where if I'm writing a push, someone else on the team will review it and will be like, okay, this looks good. But then we send it to the higher ups and they will approve. And usually Arissa, my manager, is pretty good about approving stuff. And if, she's not in the room to approve it, we can just message her and she'll look at it and be like, okay, you're good. You're good to go. I'm not going to name names in the LA market, but there is
Mhm,
a station in particular that comes to mind who they're quick. They're quick to send out a push alert, but when I
mhm,
go and swipe on that alert, there's no story. It just goes straight to like their homepage app, and I'm like, "Where's the story? Like, I wanna know what's happening."
mhm,
So what we do is we will not send a push out until we have a story on the web that gives people more context about what's happening, unless we're taking a press conference or a live event live on air, then we'll push
mhm.
to that, so we don't need a web story for that.
Yes, and actually, I do know which station you're talking about. I'm not gonna say who it is, but I do know because when I click on it, I'm like, "You're not taking me to the story, you're taking me to the newscast," but okay. But, and I was like well, actually, one more thing I would say. Little bit they push the envelope a little bit too much.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I'm like, "This is overhyped." When I saw frightening winds
Mm,
blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, I'm just like, just knowing my background, I'm just like, they could be frightening, but they're not frightening.
right. Like, we don't I mean, the point is not to, like, dramatize something, like,
Mhm,
our
mhm.
pushes are like, "Yes, it's windy. We can see that I can feel the wind. I don't need you to tell me that it's windy."
Yes,
But what we're pushing to is it's windy. This is how it's going to impact this region or that region, how
yes,
long, you can expect the windy conditions to be. And I'm using the wind example because
yes,
right now there's like a Santa Ana wind event going on.
yes.
But we'll do stuff like that. We're not just pushing to push a
Mhm,
story, like, there has to be something that's going to, not only make people swipe open that story that you pushed, but when they're done reading that, they'll be like, "Oh, that was interesting. What else do they have on the
mhm.
app that I can read?" And so you retain the user.
Yes, no, exactly, exactly. And so I want to talk about, what skills are needed to be a good digital journalist? Or what skills do you think made you have so much longevity in your career?
I think having good news judgment is one. I think building relationships with people in the newsroom that are not just in your team, within your team. Like if you're
Mhm.
on digital, you need to be able to have a relationship with all the reporters, on air producers, EPs, everybody, because it's what keeps us going as a station. What else would I say would make please learn how to write people is my biggest pet peeve when it comes to people just in general. Like, I know we have to dumb things down a little bit in general, but there's no reason why we're writing at, a sixth grade level. Like, come on, people. We all went to school, we all went to college, like, yeah, and you have to be able to multitask, and news is very stressful, so you need to be able to, like, if there's a fire and there's a press conference, I need to be able to watch what they're saying, writing everything accurately to get it to people that need that information while listening what we're doing,
Mhm.
what reporter is where, what do they have that I can add into the story? So you're like doing like 3, 4 different things at the same time during like a breaking news. And on top of that, you have to remember we still have to push this out. So then you have to jump and get a push alert ready to go. And because we're also focusing on social media, we need to write something that's social media friendly to get it out. So it's all these moving parts. So to succeed, I think you need to be able to juggle all that fairly well, I would say.
Yes, no, exactly, and also understanding SEO as well.
Yes.
That's very important, especially when I was working at Spectrum, because I was getting my master's at the time, and I retrained, the digital weather team about, SEO and search rankings. Because when I was, like, searching up our weather stories, I couldn't find them on Google, you know? Like, it was very hard to find my stories or stories that we wrote, and so after taking my class, I'm like, "Okay, let's just use" because I guess there's, like, a SEO aggregator for keywords that you can use. So I use that and some whatever I learned in my class about making sure we have keywords and we put it in and stuff.
Right.
But now we have AI now. So how do you feel about AI in our industry now, especially of your work? Because there's been minty articles about people say, oh, using AI to write those digital stories. Most recently, I think the AP was writing about considering, you create this AI product, you can write stories that, that you don't care about, but you're assigned to them. Just input some information, and it'll come up a draft for you. So how do you feel about AI in our industry now?
I don't like it, not because well, yes, obviously because I'm worried, that it's gonna replace us, but it's
Mhm,
just it doesn't have the soul that journalists bring into the
mhm,
industry, which is what makes story stick. It's what makes stories matter. It's what helps connect us to the audience because I think people need to remember that journalists are part of the community. Like we live in the community that we are serving and reporting on. And it's not that we're out to get anyone or anything. I think if anything, we kind of go into this field because we want to make our communities better. And so, in order to do that, we have to present our audience, our fellow neighbors, with the information that we have found, that we have researched. We have done our homework and we're now giving it to you so you can make, the best decision for what's right for you. And I think that's what AI is lacking. Yeah, I'm sure AI can write an article quick, but it's still going to make mistakes. It's not going to be out there interviewing people in the community, our leaders, like it's just it's icky almost, if I may.
No, 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 and it's understandable, because I feel the industry is contending with AI, and also in the next topic, let's talk about the content creator and influencer, because especially you are, you're covering this entertainment beat, you are competing with them for time as well, and so I just wanna get your thoughts on just the content, the influencer of it all, is it should journalism embrace it, or should there be some safeguards around it? Because it's now, I think the waters are getting a little bit murky between the three.
Yeah. I would say, there are, and I'm thinking of one person, and she's great. She's a previous news anchor, so she has that background of a journalist, and she has a huge following on social media. So that's how she now delivers, the news to people. But she does her research. I think there's a difference between, just reading articles and gathering news from different outlets and then getting in front of your phone or whatever, and then repeating that information to people, and then call yourself an influencer. If that's how you're, I mean, as someone on the other side of the phone, if I see that, I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go and research that. Like, I want to see how much of this is accurate. What sources are they using? Like, where did they get their information? Who did they
Mhm,
interview? Who did they talk to? I feel that a lot of these news influencers aren't necessarily doing that from what I have seen and what has popped up on my phone.
mhm,
I think it's there's like a fine line, I guess, and I think people who are consuming this need to be aware of that or should be aware of that in the sense that, okay, if you have someone that, you know, you follow on social that's giving you the news, are we just going to take their word for it and run with it? Or are we taking the time to be like, that was interesting. Let me go see what else I can find on that topic. I don't
no,
know. How do
exactly, I
you
think
feel? How do you feel, Keith? I feel like
how
it's such a
it's
delicate
a
because I don't want to
it
judge
is a
anybody because I feel like, this is how people also make their money. And I'm like, who am I to judge? But at the same time,
yes. Yeah, absolutely delicate. I think my only concern was I don't want my friends or colleagues to be replaced. I think that's my honestly, that's my true biggest concern. It's like, I don't want my friends out of a job. But then I do realize, talking to some of my friends, like, I tell them, you need to have some strong social media component and do what these influencers are doing. Because unfortunately, I would say unfortunately, the news hiring game has changed, that they're gonna hire someone who has that ability, because that's I money can be made that way through digital and, yes.
I was just gonna say I have seen
Mhm.
1 or 2 times where someone was hired because of their large social media following, and it did not end well. So, it's not always just because you have the large following does not mean that, you have the training and the education to go into journalism.
Yes, exactly. I mean, because I'm even doing my creating game as well, but, again, I worked in journalism,
Mm.
I
That's
have
where it
that
works.
background. Yes, and, like, when I do stories, I make sure I either cite, attribute, or I have the picture of the article where I'm getting the information from about the story. So that's how, and plus, because I think sometimes influencers don't attribute and cite, and that's sometimes it can go out of left field. I'm like, "Where'd you get this information from?"
I think it would
You
be
know?
I'd be I'd be happy to see if, these influencers, did that in terms of like, I'm quoting, the New York Times or the LA Times.
Mhm,
Oh, but I went and spoke to so and so to get a comment or what they thought about this so they could further elaborate. And now you're building a story, whereas you can say the LA Times, New York Times is reporting this, this, and that. I spoke to so and so from this or that who is either, who contradicts what's being reported or who agrees and additionally is adding more to the story for the people.
mhm, exactly, exactly. Like, doing that reporting, also having media and news literacy, because
Mhm.
that's very important. Like, seriously, I do wanna teach a class on that, since now I have my master's done. I'm thinking like, "You know what? Let me do a news literacy class, because that's very important
For sure.
to see where everybody's getting their news from." I'm like, "Okay, we need to educate yourself."
Yeah.
Especially this time. But also I wanted to ask you, okay, so we talk about the influencers and the content creators, but on the red carpet, because recently, I believe the entertainment journalist, a host, was talking about the red carpet is not as glamorous as what people seems. There's a line of people, and sometimes you don't even have enough time to answer a question, or the celebrities that you want to interview come late. So, what can you share? Now you're out there covering those press junkets. What are some tidbits that you can share, or anecdotes you can share from your experience?
I can tell you that it is, in fact, not all that it's cracked up to be. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of standing around. So, for example, if your award ceremony starts at 4, for example,
Mhm.
it's the Oscars. The Oscars don't start at 4 p.m. As a credentialed media who's covering the red carpet, you have to be there by like 12 or earlier because they open up. I think this year they're opening up the red carpet at like 12:30 in the afternoon when
Yes.
people start arriving. You're crowded, you're crammed in, you have like a small space. As people start to come in, the celebrities start to come in. They're not going from one outlet to another to another. Like if they want to talk to you, they will talk to you. If not, they just walk on by and good luck getting the next person. And sometimes if they do stop, they have a team behind them. So they'll be like, only one question or two questions, make it quick. So you kind of have to like think about what you want your question other than what are you wearing tonight? You want to get something, at least for me, like I probably wouldn't do that. I'd be more like, I like to ask about the project that they're there for, about the film or the TV show. That's the kind of stuff that I like to know because there are plenty of other, outlets that are going to be asking, what are you wearing? And, you have the social media influencers who are at home who, they're good at this. I'm thinking of one guy in particular, and I can't think of his name right now, who's good about,
Mhm.
seeing an outfit and they know exactly what designer it is. And, they'll be like, I like it. I don't like it. It's doing too much, So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a lot of waiting around. It's a lot of, I would say, luck if you don't have the connections for someone to come up to you and for you to get at 1 or 2 questions in.
Got it. And so, speaking of award season, so how is season shaking out for you? Because I say this season has been a roller coaster. I thought we had some favorites, and I think now those favorites are getting turned upside down, and there's momentum building for, I guess, Sinners now heading into the Oscars, especially after the Actors Awards. And unfortunately, that BAFTA situation, I think that may have changed some things around.
I think, I've actually have not and purposely have not watched the BAFTA video. I know what you're talking about, and I was like, "Ooh, I
Yeah.
don't even wanna see this."
Mhm.
The Oscars are on Sunday, which wraps up award season. I think that Sinners and One Battle After Another are in good positions to come out on top.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be either of those who wins Best Picture. I think there
Mhm.
are some categories that are pretty much we kinda already know who's gonna win just because they're the clear favorites
Oh,
from the
yeah, Jessie Buckley just handed her award when she gets on the carpet. Call it a day.
we know Ryan Coogler is probably gonna get I think he's up for original screenplay.
Mhm. Mhm, mhm,
Paul Thomas Anderson will probably get adapted.
mhm.
So we know at least how those 2 are going to go. I'm hoping Sinners was my favorite movie last year. I saw it like 5 or 6 times in theaters before I watched it a
Mhm,
couple more times at home on HBO. That's been my clear favorite for a year now.
mhm,
I've watched every Best Picture nominee this year, and I've
mhm.
enjoyed all of them. They're all great.
Yes, yes. No, I feel it's like it's a horse race to see how it's all going to pan out. So, and you're gonna be there covering it, right?
That's the hope. We're waiting on a couple of things
Okay.
for in terms of setup and being able to work out of I wouldn't be on the red carpet, I would be inside the interview room as in the winner's room. So we're just waiting to hear back on a couple setup logistics, and once those are good to go, then hopefully, fingers crossed, I will be there Oscar Sunday, and it'll be my first
Okay.
time covering the Oscars.
Yeah.
Exciting.
It's gonna be exciting. I cannot wait. I mean, there's another current event topic I would like to talk about, but I don't want that club after us. So, if you know what I mean.
No, who is
If
it?
you know what I mean.
No, who is it?
Huh?
You can say it.
Timothy Chalamet. You don't
Timothy.
know, do you know what's going on?
Too, I think sometimes I just want to be like, stop talking. He has the whole art's up in a roar.
Yes, yes. He had a narrative going in because this is what I thought. Okay. I thought he was like, okay, he's gonna win the Oscar, then he's gonna propose to Kylie and start a family.
Nope. I mean, I know people want him to win for Marty Supreme, but I'm really hoping Michael B. Jordan
Yes.
gets the Oscar. I think he did a great job. Timothy is a phenomenal actor as well. I'm not
Yes.
gonna take that away
Yes.
from him. I think he's great.
No, no, he is fantastic, amazing. Just not he has another time.
Yes.
Another time.
And I know we keep saying that because he's so young,
Mhm.
but I just don't to me, I just don't feel that Marty Supreme is the film that I would want him to win the Oscar for. If it was up to me, he would have won for Call Me by Your Name because that performance to this day is one of my favorite Timothy performances.
Mhm. Yes, yes. And, what are you keeping up on right now? What is Paco keeping up on?
I've been keeping up with The Pit. I have been keeping up with The Traitors. That ended in a disappointment. I was keeping up with Love Is Blind, and that was one disappointment after another disappointment and another
Mhm.
disappointment. I'm like, where are they finding these people? That's what I did. The Last Thing He Told Me, which is on Apple TV, just started the second season. And so I've been keeping up with that. This new season is based on the new book that recently came out. So I read the book before I started watching this new season that just came out. That's pretty much it in terms of television and movies. Just been keeping up with trying to catch up on all the Oscar performances. I
Mhm.
need to find time to watch the documentaries, the shorts, some of the animated. So hopefully I can squeeze all that in before Oscar Sunday. And currently keeping up with the new Gavin Newsom book that I just started, just to read the the politics.
Yes.
Let me
Yes, no, I know, I
let me
know.
see what all the fuss is about.
Yes, yes. No, 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 we won't get into the politics because it's a lot to unpack. But also, are you well, I guess yes, you have. The heated rivalry. I just had to ask that question
Oh,
before we
yes.
wrap this up.
Yes, we did. I have a group of coworkers, and our group
Mhm.
text is going to the cottage. That's what we named it. Uh, and so every we kept up with heated rivalry. So now we're actually going to go to a hockey game in LA for the LA Kings, inspired by heated rivalry. It'll be my first time going to a hockey game. So we had heated rivalry and the pit. So together we're always texting once the episodes come out. So it's been a fun ride with them.
Yes, no, absolutely. And I'm so proud of Hudson, Connor, Jacob, Francois, Robbie, the whole cast of the show. And just I'm not sure because I was talking to one of my friends who was a film critic a couple weeks ago. I don't know, do you think can you think of a celebrity who has shot the fame so fast as Connor and Hudson? Like immediately?
Mm,
'Cause I couldn't think of no one in the last, like, 10 years, and the ones that I thought of, like, well, they were already known, like, on Disney Channel and stuff. Their brand
yeah,
just blew up.
not recently that I can think of. I mean, it's one thing to shoot up in stardom and then be able to maintain that because you can, go really high and then just as quick as you went up
Mhm.
there, you crash back down.
Yeah, crash and burn, mhm.
But the way these 2 have just taken the world by storm, I don't think I've seen in a while. The only
Yes.
thing that comes to mind to me is Britney Spears. I don't know why, but that was late '90s.
He's in well, and then Brittany was still a child star on Mickey
Yeah,
Mouse Club. You
yeah,
know? Yeah, because this I'm just thinking because any actor straight I'm like, "Okay, you got SNL, you're doing the Olympics. Um, you guys now got 2 other roles to do, and you still gotta fulfill your contract for Heated Rivalry." And then I can see it's also having a very positive effect on the whole cast because now Jacob is gets to produce another show for a new show for Netflix. I'm like, yeah, he's doing like the relationship between Alexander the Great and I believe Aristotle. I don't
that
know.
could be good. That sounds interesting.
Yes, yes, yeah, like that show has been greenlit. It just the effect of heated rivalries having I haven't seen a TV show do so much positives for everyone. Maybe the only show I can think of is like Riverdale, because I feel the people from there have gone on to do other stuff. But
I will say that I have never gone to a watch party for a
mhm,
TV show as I did with Heated Rivalry. My coworkers and I, we went to, uh, a bar in WeHo that was showing it, and
yeah,
it wasn't just the one that we were at, it was, like, all up and down the street where everybody was
yes.
watching it, and I was like, "What a moment. What a movement. It's great."
Yes, absolutely, we need that, we all need to go to the cottage.
Yeah.
We're loons, we're loonies. Paco, anything else, you wanna say before we wrap this up?
No, I think we've covered so much, and we probably could have gone on all day long talking.
Yes, yes, and where can my audience find you at? Where can they follow you?
So I was an early adapter of social media. So my at is not like Paco at Spectrum News. It
Mhm,
is at Kickin' Pock. So kick, like you're gonna kick a ball, the letter
mhm.
N and PAC, Pock. So Kickin' Pock.
Okay, awesome. That is great. So remember, guys, you can follow me at Keeping Up with Keith on all my platforms. This episode is going to be great. So, Paco, thank you so much. And talk to you next time, everybody. See ya.
Bye, everybody.